Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is very exciting for me, as you guys can tell by the title of this video. Today I will be sharing with you all my next educational adventure. I will start off basically with my story about breastfeeding my son, and then it's going to kind of transition into what I'm studying and what I'm aiming for. So, as you guys know, I have a 2-year-old son named Dominic, and I had him in 2018, first time mom. And in 2018, when I had him, I decided I was going to try to breastfeed. Started off a little rough, some challenges there, but honestly, if I hadn't been connected with a lactation consultant that I was connected with, our journey would have been over. All right, so to kind of precede everything and just kind of preface everything and say, I am studying to become an IBCLC, which is an international board certified lactation consultant. So going back to the story with my son, I think I'd been home just for a few days at the point after delivery, and I noticed nipple pain. I felt nipple pain, and I was concerned. I could only read about certain things. I didn't know exactly what to look for, but I felt like something was wrong. And Dominic was also cluster feeding. So I decided to call the hospital that I delivered at. And I asked them if it was possible for me to return to see the lactation consultant that they had on staff, or if they knew of any other resources. And they connected me or provided me with information of like 2 or 3 different lactation consultants, one of which being my now lactation consultant that I'm still connected with to this day. I received Beth's information and I contacted her, and she responded very quickly. Basically, kind of the typical rundown. Asked for my insurance. She said she'd be there like the next day or the day after, and she really did come. Beth literally saved my breastfeeding journey. I felt so doubtful of myself. I felt so overwhelmed, so consumed, and I told myself, like, my family members, my family, and then Malcolm's family, when I was pregnant, they'd be like, oh, are you gonna breastfeed? Are you gonna breastfeed? And I'm like, yeah, and I would always tell my sister, I'm gonna try to breastfeed, but I've heard the horror stories, and I'm not going to allow that to take up my mental space. I don't wanna be feeling negative when I'm just now being a first-time mom. And so I was very determined to try it, but still not allow it to affect my mental health. Well, it has started to a little bit. And that's when I said, I need to call. I called, got connected with Beth, and then 19 months later, I still to this day just think about her. And we still are connected, and especially now that I'm going on this journey to become a lactation consultant, she's still very much a valuable person to me. We've connected, we've networked. There is going to be a lasting bond there and relationship. So, yes, I breastfed Dominic for 19 months. When Beth came over, that's what I meant to say. When Beth came over to do the consultation, which usually consultations, breastfeeding consultations or lactation consultations are usually like 2 to 3 hours, she came and did a weighted feed, and that basically meant she had me put Dominic in a clean diaper, completely clean diaper, weighed him. Then he nursed, and then she weighed him again to basically see the output. And he ended up transferring 3.9 ounces of milk after nursing. I was very concerned about his latch, and I was concerned about my output, as in my milk volume. And she reassured me completely, like told me, oh my God, you're fine. Oh my God. Like, in other words, basically was saying, like, you're one of my easiest clients. Like, the latch is fine. And she reassured me that your nipples are feeling pain because they're experiencing something that they've never felt before. And that's true. I've never had someone just suckling on my breast before. So that alone, just kind of bringing things down and normalizing stuff and telling me it's going to get better. And if it doesn't, let's talk about it. That was just groundbreaking for me. It was groundbreaking for my journey. Every time I became overwhelmed or I felt like breastfeeding was going to be too much of a challenge, I thought about Beth, and I thought about her role, not only in my journey in my life, but in others, and how she's spent her time committed to making sure that breastfeeding mothers' families are successful. So I was like, you know what? During that time, I want to say I was probably about 7 to 8 months into my breastfeeding journey. And something just pinged me. I was like, well, as a lactation consultant, I want to see like what's going on. I kid you not, a couple of days later, in the Facebook group I was in for Black breastfeeding mothers, the admin, the creator of the group, which the group has like 70,000 members, I think, or maybe more, she came on and she shared another group. And she said, if there's anyone in here who is interested in the lactation field, you should join this group. And the group was called Future IBCLCs of Color. Remember I told you guys IBCLC stands for International Board Certified Lactation Consultant. I looked and I was like, I'm gonna join the group because maybe this is something I can do. At first I thought, well, I have no healthcare background at all. Like, how am I going to break into this field? Well, I went down a rabbit hole. I added myself to the group. I requested to join the group, and I was like one of the first members, to be honest. It was a very new group, and this was still in, not in 2018. At this point, it was 2019. At this point, and I just started kind of poking around, and then I saw something that kept referencing IBLCE.org, and that's I think it's the International Board for the Lactation Consultant Examiners. It's basically the credentialing body for IBCLCs. Basically, they're like the hub of information to tell you how to accomplish that and obtain the credential. So I kind of poked around on their website and I saw, oh, this is how I can do it. There are 3 pathways that you can take to become an IBCLC. The first is with healthcare background, so if you're like a nurse or if you're a doctor, there's a pathway for you. 2 is more so if you're going to enroll in a college that has a lactation specific program. So you're actually going to be in classes, and it's a more structured, kind of made for you program, kind of like when you would go and major in communications or psychology, something built like that. And then there's pathway 3. Pathway 3 is the one that I'm taking. And I will leave links down below just in case I'm reaching anyone who's been thinking about it and maybe was kind of like how I was, which we'll get to in a little bit. So pathway 3 is you have to take a 90-hour lactation education specific course. You have to then take 8 health sciences, some general education courses, and then you have to complete 500 hours of clinical practice. So let's talk a little bit about why it took me so long to get started, and then we'll talk a little bit more about where I am in my journey and what progress I'm making towards it. So first and foremost, I added myself to that group and I became very overwhelmed after reading all the information, not gonna lie. Like I said, Dominic was probably 7 to 8 months, maybe 9, and I was a first-time mom. I was like, I'm not gonna have time to do this. I have no idea when I'm gonna do this. So I kind of closed the book on it. And ever so often, it kind of would creep back up into my mental, because when I had added myself to the Future IBCLCs of Color group, I also kind of branched out and found other groups. And mind you, I had started to kind of do this even before they mentioned it in that Black breastfeeding group. I kind of started to just like poke around and see like how to do this. How could you do it? And I had added myself to quite a few groups. And I will say this, as you guys know, this started off as my planner channel, and I was in tons of different planner groups. And one day I was just on Facebook purging all these different groups that I was in, because I was like, I don't even buy from these shops anymore. I'm not active in these. Why am I in all of these groups? I keep seeing all these notifications about it. Even if I muted it, they somehow creep back up in my news feed and all that. So I said, I'm gonna just delete myself out of these groups. So I deleted myself out of most of the planner groups. And then I started to look at all of the lactation or the IBCLC groups I had joined. I was like, I'm gonna delete these 2. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna pursue this. But something was just like, don't do it yet. So I didn't delete myself out of them. But I felt like every time I would go on Facebook and I would see something pop up, it would remind me that I had this goal that I was just kind of like pushing to the side. And it was starting to make me anxious, honestly. So push come to shove, every so often, maybe like once a month or once every couple months, I would look back on the site, the IBLCE site, and kind of look again. Then I saw some of the requirements change, and I was like, dang, that makes it even further away from, a goal of mine. And recently, I want to say in the last 3 to 4 months, you know how when you're not active in groups for a while on Facebook, they kind of like settle out and you don't really see posts from it? Well, this stuff started creeping back up. So like I would be scrolling through my newsfeed on Facebook and I would see something from these groups, like people asking about the exam, people asking about if they had books, used books and stuff. And I was like, why is this popping up? I didn't really think too much about it. And then at the end of August, I hopped back on the Facebook group Future IBCLCs of Color, and there was a link to a scholarship, and you had to go to Facebook or an Instagram page to apply. And I was like, man, what should I do? I applied. And what I said in my mind is that I'm gonna apply. I'm not gonna tell anyone because that's how I am with everything. When I apply for jobs, anything, I don't tell people until I either get it, or if I don't get it, then I don't have to tell anyone. I don't have to share the shame with anyone. So I applied and I said, God, if I get this scholarship, that means I need to start on my goal. It's time. If I don't, then I can just continue to hold off. I'll get to it. That's all I said. So I applied and submitted my application. As soon as I saw it, I think I saw it one day, and then the deadline was probably 5 days away from the day that I initially saw it. I put my application in the next day after I saw it, and I didn't think too much more about it. So then I look back, I'm scrolling, because I had followed obviously the page that I applied for the scholarship through, and I read over it again, and I said, oh, okay, she had put an update up saying when they would announce the winner, excuse me. But then that day came, she announced something and she said, we were overwhelmed by the number of applicants. We are now awarding 10 scholarships, so we need more time. Give us till this date. That date passed. Then they finally came back on and said, we'll announce them like the next day. So I'm not gonna lie, I was refreshing this Instagram page like all day to see. So finally a post comes up, and the owner of that page says that, oh my God, we got more opportunities. We have 18 scholarships to give out because more companies agreed to sponsor scholarships. We are going to announce every winner in our stories, and after every winner that we name in our stories, we're going to put who sponsored their scholarship and give you a little info about the company. So I'm like, okay, that's great, because they went from 1 to 10 to 18. I'm like, oh, like that broadened, right, my opportunity to get the scholarship. So I'm excited, right? I'm just sitting there. It's Friday, okay? So I'm ending my workday. I keep scrolling. I keep like updating, like refreshing my email, refreshing Instagram. Then she starts posting them, right? And as she posts them, I start to count how many. She gets to 18 and my name never came up. So I was like, all right, whatever, like what I said is what I said. I said, if I got it, I would start towards my goal. If I didn't, I'd put it off and just kind of relax, figure things out. But I eventually get to it. So the workday ends. Again, I told you I didn't tell anyone that I applied for the scholarship. And I finished my workday right here in my office where I'm filming right now. And I went upstairs just to relax. It was a busy work week. We were just about gearing up for our new boss that was coming. And I was very busy. I had lots of different things going on. So I went upstairs to just decompress, debrief from the week. And I've been on my phone about something else. I applied for something else, but it wasn't a scholarship. It was totally unrelated. I'm sitting there, resting my eyes a little bit. And then my phone, an email pushes through. I look like, who is this person? I recognize the name. And I recognized the name because after I had applied for the scholarship, I had looked through the website a little bit of the company that was basically hosting all of them. And by the way, this scholarship was for Black women or men who wanted to become IBCLCs. So I opened up this email and the subject line reads, Lactation Education Scholarship. my mouth dropped. I cried. I instantly cried. They said, "Hi, Olivia. We're so excited to let you know." And I was like, I got one. I got a scholarship. I was so happy. I cried. I ran downstairs to Malcolm. I called my dad. I called my sister. I screenshotted the email to my brother. They were all so ecstatic. I told one of my cousins who was also a breastfeeding mom. And I was just so happy. And I told a few of my friends, told my cousins too, some of my other cousins. And I was just so happy. I just kind of giggled to myself because I was like, I really I tried to put leverage on something and knowing the whole time that I really wanted to do this. So what was the scholarship for? As I said, the scholarship was hosted by Lactation Link, and you can find them on Instagram, and they also have a website. And it was for aspiring IBCLCs who were either a Black man or a Black woman, because they understand the bias in the community or in the profession and the difficulty in obtaining the credential just in general. And it's just the disparity that Black men and women face trying to gain, leverage in the profession. So the scholarship is for the 90-hour enriched lactation education training program. So it is, and I also got the book. So I wanted to show you guys. And I just injured my finger. I was filming something else. So I filmed earlier. So my scholarship included this book, which is Breastfeeding and Human Lactation. This is the book that coincides with an online class. It's a self-paced class. You have a year to complete it. And if you don't complete it in a year, you can request an extension. And this is just, I have to show you guys my notebook. This is the notebook I am using. All my notes are in here. This is the notebook I'm using. And I use a Sharpie S-Gel pen. So yes, the scholarship was for that 90-hour lactation specific education. That is a requirement on Pathway 3. So what does that mean for me? I hope to have it done early, like sometime in January. If I continue on the schedule that I'm on, I'm pretty sure I might be done even before that. And then what else do I have to do? Well, in order to sit for the exam, I have to complete my 8 health sciences, do the general education courses, which are like medical documentation, medical coding, CPR, and then I have to do my 500 hours of clinical practice. So just to give you guys a little insight for Pathway 1 and 2, I don't know too much about it because I'm not going to pursue either one of those. I can't pursue the first pathway. And the second pathway, I think that it's just, Pathway 3 is more fitting for me. So for Pathway 3, in order to begin your clinical hours, so like I could technically start my clinical hours now if I wanted, but no, actually, I'm sorry. Pretty sure I have to do the lactation education specific stuff first. I think I can do the 500 clinical hours while I'm doing my health sciences and my general ed courses. But before I can begin counting hours towards that 500, I have to submit an official plan to IBLCE, which is again that credentialing body. And I have to identify a chief mentor in that plan and basically outline how I'm going to achieve all of the things I need to achieve in order to sit for the IBCLC exam. And the IBCLC exam usually was something offered in person, but because of the pandemic, they offer it virtually. And I more than likely, since I'm starting basically my process now, I would still be eligible to try and sit for a virtual exam, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where I'm at when I can kind of get a better handle on where I'm going to line up as far as when I'll be ready to take the exam. So I have to complete all of those things before I can sit for the exam. And usually the exams are offered twice a year, once in the spring. So I've seen them announced more like in April for the spring, but this coming year it's in March. And then they're also offered in September. So there's one coming March 2020 and then September 2020. I am looking to obviously sit probably for September 2021. I meant 2021 before I just said. I'm looking to sit for September 2021's or the spring 2022. Just to kind of give you guys a timeline of what I am looking to do. So yes, I am studying essentially to be a lactation consultant. I want to be the best for like everyone that I can be in my community. And so what's next for me, the plan is I'm going to still work for the feds, of course, for a little. And I want to work, once I obtain my credential, I want to work part-time as a lactation consultant in a WIC office or a hospital setting. And then after that, there's more, you know, like there's other things I want to do. I have a lot of different things I want to do. But to start off and kind of get my feet wet and get acclimated into the profession, that's what I plan to do. And the last thing I want to share is that after I finish this 90-hour Enrich course, I will be a certified breastfeeding specialist. So I also plan to kind of start dabbling in the work as soon as I can. I previously, like when I thought that this was too overwhelming, I was like, oh, I can be a breastfeeding peer specialist or a breastfeeding peer counselor, because all you needed to do was have prior experience breastfeeding. You didn't have to do lactation education, specific information. You didn't have to do clinical hours. Basically, your time breastfeeding your son or daughter was good enough. And the class that I'm currently taking is through Lactation Education Resources. Again, if anyone is interested, I am so more than willing to talk about it. If you want to message me on IG, or even if you want to email me to get, you know, some chatting in, if you're interested. I really do hope that this reaches someone who was kind of on the fence like me. And I hope this really encourages you to just move forward and do what you want to do, really, because you can make the time. I know it's hard, especially as mamas, especially as working adults, okay? Not even just a working woman, a working adult. Things are hard. You're tired. You know, we're going through this pandemic, but I found the time. I figured out, you know, like this is what I needed to be doing. And another thing that I wanted to encourage you all is to look for scholarships. There are a lot of scholarships out there by various companies. And it's very important for you to just apply. Just tell your story, be raw, be candid, be transparent. Really tell them why is it that you want to do it. And the passion alone is really going to propel you towards what you want to do. So I just wanted to share that all with you guys. I'm so excited to finally get it off my chest. I've been kind of like sneaking around. I kind of like teased to my Instagram fam that I was doing something, but I didn't want to tell them yet. I was going to film a video. I actually just got my computer back from Apple. I had to get it repaired because I cracked the screen a little bit, so I wasn't really filming because I wasn't going to be able to edit the way that I want. Not that I'm super snazzy with my editing, but just in general. So you guys, wish me luck. Send me blessings or whatever it is. And I really just hope that I can continue to keep you guys updated on this journey. As we all know, life happens. So if I don't start talking about it for a while, I don't know, maybe something happened. But for the most part, I'm pretty confident and I'm pretty committed to what I want to do. And so I'm just really thankful to Lactation Link. This is not a sponsored video at all, by the way, y'all. And I'm very, very thankful to One Natural Way, which One Natural Way was the actual company who sponsored it. Lactation Link sponsored, I think they obtained funds to sponsor some of the scholarships, but the company that specifically sponsored my scholarship was One Natural Way, and I will link them down below as well. So I thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was a longer one, but it was something passionate, and if you guys are interested in knowing what I got going on, then there it is. So thank you guys so much. I will see you in my next one. Leave questions down below.